Welcome to the 617 podcast, the voice of the Boston fans, by the Boston fans. I'm Michael Marcangelo, joined by my boy, Rayshawn Buchanan. Today, we are talking about really all things Boston, minus the Red Sox, because we don't hate ourselves that much. We're talking Patriots, we're talking Celtics, we're talking Bruins. To get it started, though, Ray, the big news, obviously, we should talk about surrounding the New England Patriots, is that they have unofficially welcomed back Billy O'Brien as offensive coordinator, although Belichick won't name him that. How happy are you about this move?
So, I think it's a step in the right direction. So that right there makes me happy because they chose to actually make a decision. There was no way they could have ran it back the way it was after the season had gone, which is why so many of us were hoping that although you still want the playoffs and you want to see what they would do, ultimately you knew major changes had to be made if
Yeah.
they would have missed the playoffs for the second year out of 3 years. So yeah, so listen, for that point alone, I'm elated, ecstatic, overjoyed, whatever you want to put there, as a word of happiness. But yeah, it's familiarity. It's someone who knows how to call plays, who's going to bring back the seam route. That's been a lost call in this offense for a number of years. So yeah, I'm excited to see him come back to see what he could do with Mac. Obviously, he spent time with Mac down in Alabama, so there is a rapport there. So at the end of the day, it was good that they finally made that move. But it's like, once again, it's not something where this is going to fix everything, but it damn sure helps.
Yeah, I mean the difference here is that when O'Brien and Mac Jones met down in Alabama, Mac Jones taught him the Alabama offense. We don't want Mac Jones teaching Billy O'Brien the New England Patriot offense. I mean,
Right.
what we saw last year was just, I think we've said it historical amounts on this show, was just fucking awful. Just to reinforce how bad it was. Red zone efficiency. They ranked. They went from 11th to 32nd in
Mm.
1 year. They were 39 of 63 to 19 of 45.
Wow.
That's bad. Third down efficiency went from 10th to 27th. First downs went from 9th to 28th. Sacks allowed went from 8th to 19th. And total touchdowns scored 48 in 2001 to 31 this past year. They didn't even average 2 offensive touchdowns per game this season. So realistically, as a fan and as an unbiased sports commentator, how much of an impact will he have by himself?
Yeah, how much will Bill have by himself?
Yeah.
Um, I think just from I honestly I think there'll be more red zone opportunities. Like I think when you even though, like you said, you gave the number 19 to 45, and then the year before was 39 to 63, like having 18 less chances, like that's a big drop off, right? So that means that they're not even methodically moving it down. Forget about getting the big play or like they're not even methodically moving down the field to get into the 20 and below. So that alone is a problem. So once again, it's bringing back the seam routes and bringing a cross route underneath, where Kendrick Bourne could really do damage here if you put him in there underneath put him line him up next to Hunter Henry, let Hunter Henry run the seam down the right hash mark, let Kendrick Bourne run underneath that play could do wonders. Could do
Yeah.
wonders. You know,
Also, like
it's
let's not
crazy.
forget that Billy O'Brien was the OC the year that Bill drafted Hernandez and Gronk.
No, right. Yeah,
Now have two
exactly.
tight ends that you're paying assloads of money to. If there's one guy that you can that you figure could actually involve both of those into the offense, especially in the red zone, I mean, it has to be O'Brien, right?
Yeah, no, it better be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it better be if they're putting this much, stock into this new role, or just a returning role, I should say. Yeah, it better be. And once again, Jonah Smith, who I know, you were high on coming into here, I still think he can have an impact here. Like, I don't want to make it
Yeah.
seem like it's, he became the Nikhil Harry of the tight ends here. Like, that's not the case. because he still has done more than N'Keal Harry in his time here, than N'Keal Harry. So let's be let's be honest. So, yeah, I think that the playbook in a lot of uncertainty is kind of messed up what Johnson was going to do. But I still very think if he's healthy, if Hunter Henry's healthy, we're seeing Hunter Henry have a good season a couple of years ago, under Josh's reign. So I think that, yeah, we're going to see the review of the tight end. I think Kendrick Bourne will have a much better season next year. Aguilar, thank goodness, is off the books. I don't know who else is going to be gone. I mean, let's say, I don't think they bring back Myers as well, but
they have to bring. We did this last time. They have to bring him back.
I mean, we say that they don't have to. It'd be nice to, but it's not something they have to. And once again, I was done since the Vegas game.
All right, so let me ask you a question because we did this before. I have a couple more questions about the Patriots. A couple things I want to talk about. But if you get Jacoby Myers, let's say that you can get him for 3 years and $12 million, or total, or you can get JuJu Smith-Schuster for 3 years and $20 million. Which do you do?
Well, I signed Jacoby.
Really?
Yeah. Only because he's been here. Like I don't know if, like, we talked about JuJu Smith and we said that he'd be a good addition, but I'm on record. I said the last time I think I was with you. I think it was me, you, and Joe. I want T. Higgins here. Like, and he makes less than that. I think he gets 1.8 next year.
Yeah, we're not talking about pipe dreams, dude.
But that's not a pipe dream. Like, first, he fits the salary that they would pay, because 1.8 is right in their warehouse
for 2 more years. Yes.
Yeah, cool. Then whatever you do with him afterwards, but it's like you give him another 2 years at that money. And I just think that, you need to at least have the conversation. Once again, if you don't get him, fine, whatever. It wouldn't be the first time they called to get a receiver and it fell through. Fine, not a problem. You at least need to have the conversation, especially if they don't beat Kansas City going into this weekend, because maybe they start thinking about some decisions they want to make. Obviously, Burrow's got to get paid. Jamar Chase obviously has to get paid. But
I mean, didn't Kansas City kind of debunk this whole theory where you can't do that because they paid Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek?
Right, but Tyreek and moving on, but because they didn't want to pay him. But that's what I'm saying. Someone has to go at some point. And once again, T. Higgins ain't Tyreek. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we've seen him put up historic numbers down in Miami again. So he clearly has a lot left in the tank. And only you would understand that reference on the show. So he's a lot left in the tank. And I just think money wise, it makes sense. D-Hop's out the question now that Bill's back, that O'Brien's back. We know this. D-Hop is not an option now that Bill O'Brien's back. If people think so, you're on something. Like, we know how that relationship ended. There's no way DeAndre Hopkins comes back here or comes here with Bill O'Brien being the OC. No way. And if he does, then he's the ultimate professional, and I'm grateful. But I don't see that happening. So, but yeah, if you go get Schuster, apparently I'm hearing that Jerry Jeudy from Denver is available. That's a connection with Mac there. Like, you just need to get this guy weapons, right? And it's not just enough to scheme the plays. The offensive line's got to get better. The weapons around Mac has to get better. So yeah, maybe you make the call on Jerry Jeudy. Maybe you go get Smith-Schuster, like you just mentioned. Based on somebody, got to get somebody.
Based on how his tenure in Houston ended, would you feel more comfortable with O'Brien having a say in the players that are chosen or that are brought in, or would you think Bill should still do that?
Well, I mean, O'Brien drafted a lot of those guys still. Like,
traded them all away. Traded them all away. Not T. He didn't draft.
No, I mean, no, sure. Sure that he ended up trading away, and that was dumb. I would say, like, but most of those guys he brought into Houston. Most of those guys. Yep. So he's the reason why they were even relevant in the AFC South for a number of years. So, he clearly knows talent. It's just a matter of we're just thankful that he's not the GM.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So there needs to be more input. It can't just be be Bill with the Speaker of the House dick on it. Like it can't be that. That's the inside joke. But like, Bill can't be.
It's outside now.
Yeah, it's outside now, right? But well, no, he can't just be the judge, jury, and executioner. Like, can't be. Maybe when it comes to training camp, but like when they're in the war room, the draft day, yeah, you need to have as many heads in there and not being split on them adding offensive talent. Like, what are you split about? The only split you need to have is a banana split. You should not be split about. You should not be split about what talent needs to come here. What are we doing? What are you talking about? Like that to me, that was a wild statement when that came out. Like, they're split about what needs to be done in the offseason offensively, huh? Like, there was a choice. What are we talking about? There is no choice. Get something done, and this is a start.
What's more important, a top end wide receiver or offensive lineman?
So we've been conditioned here to say lineman, but it's a tough end receiver.
I agree. We saw. I mean, Joe Burrow's proof.
Right, fact, exactly, and it can start and stop there, right? Like, obviously, they're not where they are if they don't get Chase.
Right, 1,000%.
Yeah, so
he was the king of the yips and the drops. That's what we were here. That's what we were hearing in preseason, and then he just lit it on fire. But before we venture too far down that road, I want to ask you, how fucking ridiculous do you think it must have been for Billy O'Brien to be interviewing for the offensive coordinator position with the Patriots, and the man that he is replacing is in the room interviewing him and Matt Patricia, because that's what happened.
So I love it.
What do you mean you love it? He's asking Billy O'Brien, well, what would you do differently? Like, what are your plans for the offense?
I mean, no different than Brad Stevens interviewing Ime Udoka, knowing what the last you know what I'm saying? It's like,
there's a little bit of a difference. Brad Stevens took a nothing team to the Eastern Conference Finals and built talent. This guy railroad.
I'm saying, brother, because it started to go downhill is what I'm saying. It started to go downhill, and you meet the guy, you're like, yeah, so the previous coach of X, Y, and Z, what would you do differently? And he's like, we're gonna move the ball, and it worked. It's worked. They're doing their thing now, but needless to say, I mean, anything that makes Matt Patricia feel uncomfortable, I'm here for. So I hope that he was uncomfortable. I hope that he was nervous in there, knowing that it was a wrap. Honestly, as soon as that last game ended against Buffalo, I would have said, if I was Robert Kraft, I'd have said, hey, son, come into the office. We were put in a precarious situation. You came back. We tried to do some things. It didn't work the way we envisioned. Don't worry about getting back on the team plane. We can just end this right now. Like, he wouldn't even came back to Gillette with us. No way.
Kraft loves him though, dude. Like, it's like he looks at Matt Patricia like it's a shopping mall massage parlor. Like, he just has an infatuation with him, and he's still pretty relatively cheap for the Patriots.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess, but now that I think Detroit's no longer paying him now, so
well, after last season, is anybody gonna pay him? Like,
I mean, no, but I mean, listen, if they're so hell bent on keeping him around, which once again I don't know why, but like you said, you just alluded to it because he's very fond of Matt Patricia. It's fine. Once again, if you told me he had to have a hand in what was going on defensively, if that was the worst case scenario, I'd be okay with that. We've seen him have whether it was great or not, like I said, it was minimal. He still has some success defensively. I'd be okay with that, but he should never, ever see the offensive again. Okay, never. Okay.
All right. Well, easy. Y2 Ray. My question would be
Y2 Ray. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So can't do it.
My question is, are you sure he was ever good defensively? Because
I felt like the 2016 year. Oh, was it 2016 or the year that we beat Seattle? We got so many we can say which one, right?
Yeah. He had nothing to do with Malcolm Butler, so let's just erase that.
Okay, cool, fine. Yeah, no, of course not. But I'm saying, like, that defense was.
He was the defensive coordinator. He was a defensive coordinator in 2017, though.
Yeah.
When they got lit up in the Super Bowl by Nick Foles.
You know what? Yeah, right. But you know what I just thought about? Maybe he was the one that sat Malcolm down, and not Bill. Because
Still Bill's fault.
Sure, but what I'm saying is I'm thinking about, we just see what happened now with Kendrick Bourne. Maybe Malcolm said something behind the scenes, and he was like, "Oh yeah, not playing tomorrow," which is stupid. I want to make that clear. That was dumb. It was dumb in 2018. It was dumb now. The man should have played. This is the biggest game of the fucking year, and
no big deal.
No big deal. Just lost by a touchdown. No big deal. Your star quarterback breaks a record in the Super Bowl for most yards thrown in the fucking championship. But that's not that. Now that becomes a footnote because you want to be law and order. But it's okay. But and anyways, I don't know. I mean, I forgot what the question was, but it's just, to me,
you answered it.
I answered it great. So it's just like he's not someone who was phenomenal. Oh yeah, he wasn't phenomenal defensively, but he did enough to be respected on that side. He did nothing to be respected on the offensive side. So that's that.
Based on, so we're heading into championship weekend. Based on what you've seen in the playoffs so far this year, how far away do you think that the Patriots are from being just a contender again?
They still have a lot of holes to fill. I do think they might have been a little bit more competitive in this year's playoff because of how good that defense was at times. But they still, once again, the offensive line had too many holes. The playmaker, or they weren't getting schemed correctly, right? So then that leaves the defense out there too long. They still need more speed on defense. Jack Jones was good, but obviously he got hurt. Marcus Jones seems like he's going to be more of a Swiss Army knife, more of like our Taysom Hill without throwing the ball. So I kind of feel like that's what he's kind of getting thrown into, which is fine. Quick aside, I would love to see him on offense a lot more next year. I think that put him in a few packages where you're throwing a quick screen to him, or even getting him out the backfield. Like, I think that would be really dynamic for this offense. Like, he became a fan favorite right away. He plays hard, made good decisions, consistently. So I would like to see that. But no, I mean, nevertheless, they were still far away. I mean, like I said, that's a tough pill to swallow. But once again, yes, we can be fans, but we have to be realistic. Like, there were so many things they had to work on and still need to work on. Once again, happy about Bill O'Brien coming back, but the line needs fixing, the wide receiver room needs fixing. And you still got to make a decision on Damian Harris. What do you do with that? Pierre Strong and
let him go.
Yeah, but let's come on, Pierre Strong and
no, it's not a knock on Damian Harris.
But they're not. Those guys aren't ready. And what I'm saying is, even if you just gave him a 1-year deal for like $4 million, like, give him a 1-year deal for $4 million, see what he can do for another year next to him with him and Stevenson, then let him go. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I love Damian Harris. I thought that he's been awesome since he's been here.
Yeah.
I just think, who knows what can happen. Just give him 1 more year with this tandem, because they are one of the best wide receivers, running back tandems in the league, if you ask me. So I just think I would want to see 1 more year. That I know that Damian is a Mr. Glass low key, but I just like his game when he's on.
But if there are two positions that you absolutely trust Bill to draft or just at least find talent, and aren't they the running back position and the defensive back position?
Yeah. I trust them for linebacker too. I just
high.
Well, yeah, high pick at facts. But so okay, they pick at 14, so they could get a linebacker there.
Gonna get a line, but you have to get an offensive lineman. You have to.
Well, I mean, you could. I forget the kid's name for Northwestern. This is a kid from Northwestern. They may be looking at that number, but Kaylee Ringo, who played on the national championship team in Georgia. He's a corner. He's a 6'2" guy, about 210. That's up Bill's alley. And he's a shutdown guy. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised to get him.
Draft B's high.
No, but it's a difference. This guy's not 5'10" and shit. Like, he's 6'2", and you do everything that Marcus Jones and guys can do. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, He's good with his hands. Like that's up Bill's alley. He could coach him up. Like this is something you need it in that division. Still, you got Diggs, you got Hill, you got Waddle. Like you got Garrett Wilson. You need a real one, and especially like I said, if you're gonna lose McCourty, because you're probably gonna move Mills over to to safety. Because Doug is more of that hybrid guy. So I just think maybe you get Ringo at 14. Maybe the kid out of BC. I know you say stay away from wide receivers, but I'm telling y'all, and those that listen to this, y'all, once again, we are the voices of Boston fans by Boston fans. Y'all know who Zay Flowers is because y'all watch BC. I'm telling you, because they say Pittsburgh's looking to get him, and anybody that Pittsburgh gets as a wide receiver usually turns into goal. So the fact that they're looking at him means that we should be looking at him. I'm telling y'all that Zay Flowers kid or the kid Ringo from Georgia, those are two guys that we should be looking at. They should be high on their list. Both of those guys seem to make impacts right away, just like this rookie class did this year. So I like Zay Flowers a lot. I think that he would be a perfect slot guy. Him and Tyquan Thornton would do crazy together, in my opinion. But we all know that it won't go the way that I'm saying or some others may think. But those are just two names that come to mind right away. But we'll have a breakdown once we get to what's go out.
Stay away from wide receivers if you're Bill Belichick.
Hey, what's that tape, man? I'm telling you, it's not. And once again, that even though we were happy about N'Keal Harry at the time, I can't. There was people that was happy about that pick. They said they finally got a receiver. There was. It might have been small, but it was. But I would say, even though people were pleased, like his tape didn't wow you. Like you was looking at, okay, this guy, like DK Metcalf, it wowed you. AJ Brown, it wowed you. I didn't know Debo like that. I knew who he was, but I was like, okay, he was cool. But I'm like, he really didn't go ham to me until he got to the NFL. But this Zay Flowers kid, his tape, he pops off the screen. And the best thing about him, and this has been the weakness of this receiving core for a number of years, he creates separation. He makes guys fall. They need this in that offense badly. That's when Max had his best, when he had guys that could separate. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
You are. I don't know what happened to you. You're very optimistic because what you just said is that N'Keal Harry's tape didn't pop. Debo's may have. DK Metcalf definitely did. AJ Brown did. They chose N'Keal Harry over those guys.
I know.
So unless this stud wide receiver that you think his tape just pops, unless he plays special teams, Belichick ain't gonna take him.
I mean, he could put him in the return game. He could. He's that quick. I like Marcus Jones. I like Marcus Jones back there though. The kid is that quick, and I'm not trying to put him as a gunner, like not to replace to be the new Matt Slater. Like that's not what I want. No,
that's what Bill wants.
At 14, no, stop it. No, if they want to get that in the 5th round, fine. You want to get that replaced like you got him in the 5th round years ago, fine. The man had one catch his whole career, obviously Hall of Fame career. So I mean, kudos to Matt Slater. But I mean, come on. No, he could play punt return if that was the case, or kick return. But once again, separation. Like I said, I will speak more about this when we have Patriots there. So I know Joe will be on that show. It'll be the three of us on there. I'm telling you, I don't know. My gut tells me this guy's gonna blow, and if we don't get him, I think he's gonna blow wherever he goes. I just think the kid's special, so we'll see.
Quick Bruins minute before we get to the heated portion of
right. Right, exactly.
Bruins right now are 37-5-4. They're tied 1-1 against the Montreal Canadiens as this records Tuesday night, January 24th. They've won 9 out of their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
When do we start resting players, number one? And the second part of this question is, how is this year different, if it is at all, from the other President Trophy years that the Boston Bruins have had in our lifetime?
So I'll answer the rest question first. Getting rest is hard because I feel like you still want to be sharp going into the playoffs, but obviously, Bergeron being older, Krejci being older, Marchand obviously had an injury earlier on the season, which he came back quickly from that people expected. You want to give them enough ice time to still feel like have their mojo be in the game, but also making sure that you protect the investment as they go into the postseason. So they're like 10 points ahead of the next person, I believe. So I think if they have it locked up by this time next month, like, so February 24th, so going, February is a shorter month. So if they have it by the end of February, then it's basically locked up going into March 1st. Like, I think you could basically start bringing up the young guys from Providence and just kind of seeing what you have. You definitely got to protect Ullmark. Like, Ullmark definitely got to be the guy that gets a lot of rest. Like, let Swayman play a little bit more. But it's hard when, your main goalie has a 968 save percentage. And he's won like 70% of his games. So I get the need to have him out there because you want to make sure that you keep protecting the goal. But yeah, I think by March 1st, if they have it wrapped up, we don't know if they're going to do anything trade deadline wise. Like, I feel like they have all the requisite pieces. But it can never hurt to get more defensive help. Like, I think scoring wise, they have it. And so which leads into your next question about just how does this look different from years in the past when they've got President's Cup? They're just running through teams. Like, it's not something where they're winning 2-1, 1-0. Like, it's 5-2, 4-2, 6-1, 7-3. Like, they're whipping people's ass on a regular basis. Like, it's not even, and I'm there, I'll go get I'm telling on myself, but I'll go get a Sprite when I'm not supposed to. I'll go get a Sprite. I'm back and I hear, whoa, oh. And I'm like, damn, like, they just scored 30 seconds ago. Like, so they protected home ice. Like I said, they have defended well, they have scored well, they have set up people, they have set up their teammates very well. Which leads to the Brush thing, because you mentioned, what would his impact be? I think in 36 games, so he has 30 points, so 16 goals, 14 assists. Another double-digit scoring guy, another guy that could be a playmaker on that second and third line, well, really third line. So yeah, he is someone that's going to be, a welcome addition back to, the lineup. Once again, Lindholm has been great. Foligno, I'm saying his name. I know I butchered it wrong, but he's been phenomenal. Best 17 since Lucic. He work right now. So I love what I've seen from him. And obviously, Taylor Hall's been great. Zaka's been great. Obviously, listen, Pastrnak, hey, sign this man. We just went through the show.
Right.
Whatever's sign this man, okay? With it, like, this
the
man.
The problem there, like that was going to be something that I want to talk about before we went to break. Is Pastrnak is obviously he's on pace to have a record-setting Bruins season. He already has 65 points, I think 36 goals, 29 assists. But the problem is with what he's going to want for a contract, and by the way, he deserves, it's going to be about 11 million a year, 10 to 11 million a year. The problem with hockey and specifically the Bruins, if you look at their roster, they don't have any bad contracts. So how do you make room for him? Who do you let go?
I mean, he's not on the same line, but maybe you let go of Craig Smith, maybe something like that. Craig Smith.
He's getting 2.8 a year.
Right, but I'm saying, like, I'm thinking of someone who, yeah, he's been a good addition since he got here from Nashville. But I'm like, if you're looking for someone to maybe move on, maybe it's him. Maybe it's the guy that we just talked about coming back. Maybe it's the Bruss. Maybe it's Charlie Coyle. Who knows? Like, maybe, excuse me, which I know a lot of fans would be upset about.
But their deals,
there's a lot of Coyle jerseys in the Garden, so they fuck with Charlie Coyle big time. But it's just like, I don't know, but to say to me, and this is totally, I'm only saying this because this is his number. I would totally give him an 8-year deal for $88 million.
Yeah.
And 88 for 88, baby. Like, we got the 80 for Brady coming out in a few weeks. We got 88 for Pasta, baby. Like, give him $88 million and let him become the new captain eventually when, Patrice Bergeron skates off into the sunset. Pay this man. And once again, you can't. He's probably going to get 50 goals, right? Well, let's just say he's going to get 50 goals.
You better.
Yeah, right. would I just rather win. If he got 45 and won the cup, like I'm not gonna care about the 5 goals. You can't that type of player does not grow on trees. Like you just can't. And once again, I've said this religiously. Don't know too much about hockey, but I know they've had the best first line of hockey for years. Once again, unless you're going to go and call up Edmonton and say, "Hey, we want Connor McDavid for David Pastrnak," okay, then we can talk. other than that, don't call Cam Neely saying, "Hey, we're looking." No. Unless you're getting that guy from Edmonton, who's a problem. That other than that, we're not. Don't even breathe. David Pastrnak's name come out. Don't even utter it out of your mouth. For him to get down. So, yeah, Cam, Charlie, whoever, Jenkins family, whatever, pay this man. Y'all arena is sold out every night. Everyone's coming. I know because I'm there. Everyone's coming every night. No one's missing anything. Bruins or Celtics. And like I said, we'll get into them shortly, but no one's missing a game. Everyone's still buying the beer. They're buying the hot dogs. They're buying the pretzels. I know it. I see it. So there's no issue with them paying 88. Unless you're just looking to be cheap bastards, and then next thing you know, now we're looking at a rebuild. So
yeah, I mean, listen, the problem again, like the problem here is you look through this contract, and McEvoy, his cap hits 9.2. I say he's worth it. Right now, Pasternak's cap hit is about 6.4.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to need to be 12. And you had Hampus Lindholm. I mean, again, 6'5", Marchand 6'1", Taylor Hall 6, Charlie Coyle 5, Ullmark 5, Brendan Carlo 4. I mean, there are no bad deals on this roster, so you're going to have to part ways with good players to make room for a great player.
You say he's at what? He's at 6'1". You said 6'4".
He's right now. He's at 6'6", but he's going to get 12.
Okay, so let's say 8 years, 96 mil. But once again, I do that.
Yeah.
I do that. I'm once again, you cannot find a guy. Once again, they just kind of passed away the halfway mark of the year. He's getting whatever he wants. Like whatever, he's easily top 5 wingman in the game at his position. He's top 5, so you got to give him top 5 money. It's hard to find first liners that could produce that the way he could produce. It's that simple.
I mean,
it's been that turns from the Joe Thornton thing where you end up training him to San Jose, who they just beat the other night, for a bag of peanuts.
Yeah, it was a terrible return. Terrible return.
Yeah, terrible return.
Or what you did with Tyler Seguin for.
I forgot about that. Yeah, traded him to Dallas, and you drafted him number 2 overall when they got him at the time.
Yeah, because number 1 was Taylor Hall.
Yeah, right, exactly. With Edmonton, there was Taylor Hall, right? So you do that with them, and then I'm another guy I'm thinking about too, but that comes to my mind. But it's just,
I mean, the best return they've gotten so far was Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
That trade they did pretty well in that trade.
But I mean, even he's done great since he left. He's done great. I think he just had his 1,000 game too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just like they've had guys come through here. Once again, it's just like I don't know. I mean, and I heard it on one of the local shows, and I think it's so true. This core has been together a long time, right? For the most part.
Yep.
It will really, really cement their legacy in Bruins history if they're able to bookend this and win the title. Like that, that's the expectation. So we talked about what the President's Cup, yeah, great, fine. You ran through the NHL, you had the best record. I think they need to keep that because they will have home ice throughout, and they have been virtually unbeatable at TD Garden, this season. So I think that would be welcomed. But I just think, you gotta maintain what brought you to the dance. And if you took David Pastrnak off this team, would they still be very good? Yeah, it would be. But he makes them great. Very good to great is two different things. And we know that. So I think to me, once again, you need to atone for 2013. You need to atone for 2019.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the year.
so
I mean, because
that's
the Black they were a wagon. The Black. I mean, I'll
they, I
always
mean, they were, but I'm saying like, but because once again, getting to 3 Stanley Cups in a 10-year span is hard. It's hard. Get into any final. I don't want to just make it just Stanley Cup. Get into any final 3 years, 3 and 10 years, where we've seen a player in the NBA get the A straight on any team that he was on. It's hard. It's hard to get there time and time again. So they've been in the playoffs, they've been in the conference finals, they've been in, the quarterfinals. So second round, I should say, excuse me. So that to me, it's just like, yo, you got to find a way to get to June, and whoever you face from the West. I don't know who's the top team in the West right now as we speak, but and it usually never goes like that. It doesn't usually go team for team, but we handle
give
the
me the
thing.
give me the Las Vegas Knights.
Oh, that would be a storybook. That would be a storybook ending if that's the case for him to come in there. Now we have to win because I said when he came back in there, with them, they had got us. They had ended up beating us in overtime. But that was a hell of a game. That was a hell of a game. For us to be down 4-1, come back, and then end up winning 5-4. I think over a shootout. This is unpopular. Because I know people don't want it to end this way. I would love for it to end or in a play. I would love for it to end on a shootout. I would love for that. I think that would be great.
That's high stress.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, but I'm like, we talk about making the game more exciting. Like, I love seeing the shootouts in the regular season. I think it's great.
You do not want the game 7 of a Stanley Cup final come down to a fucking shoot. I'm telling you, you don't want that. You do not want that. You don't.
With Pastrnak on the line, shooting for it, why not?
Because I don't think I don't know this, but I think that in shootouts, his scoring percentage vastly decreases. He is better when it's 3-on-3 or 5-on-5.
Gotcha.
The Bruins are the best 5-on-5 team in hockey.
Yeah. Easily. And I don't know how many power play goals he has either, but once again, like he's just had they got like 6 or 7 guys in double figures, and once again, you're getting one back shortly with DeBrusque, with his 16 on the season. So,
but just to end it, you're right. 3 finals in 10 years with 1 win is fine. Is nice, but you feel. I mean, and I don't want to sound spoiled, but for the core that they had, you feel like they left a lot on the table. If you go to 4 and you win 2 of them,
well, it's great. Yeah, it looks a lot different. Bergeron in this city gets looked at a lot differently. Marchand gets looked at differently in this city.
Yep, and you can now say that
was there. Listen, what Krejci did for us in 2011. Once again, if Tim Thomas didn't turn into Patrick Waugh 2.0, he would have won. I forget the name of the MVP, but I know he would have won the MVP in that round, in the finals. So he would have been Finals MVP. So let's be let's be real. So thankfully, we have from him. But yeah, I just think that, like I said, these guys would get looked at a lot differently if they were able to, even guys like Taylor Hall being number 2 pick in 2010, he gets looked at differently. Like, he was touted to be like another Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby, who won a few years before them. But he never was what those guys have been as they still, dominate and do their thing many years later. So there's a lot of guys that would get validated by winning this year. But just to end on that last point about the rest part, just to reiterate, March 1st, if they're still flying high, if they're still head and shoulders above everyone else, which I assume them to be, then that's when you can kind of let the foot off the gas pedal just a little bit. Let some other guys get some shine that haven't gotten it, and may the best team win come playoff time.
we've talked pretty nicely about the Patriots and about the Bruins. Now it's about the other team in Boston, the first place team. But as we're recording this right now, the Celtics are playing the Miami Heat. They're up, I think 73-66 in the third quarter. Again, Tuesday night, January 24th. But they're coming off of another loss against the Orlando Magic, and this is they have now lost 3 of their last 4 against this team. Marcus Smart hurt. It could have been a lot worse.
Yep.
Robert Williams hurt. Could have been a lot worse.
Yep.
Brown hurt. We don't know how bad that's going to be. And now a report and a comment by Jayson Tatum himself saying that he needs rest for his wrist and he's thinking about off-season wrist surgery. So what the hell is happening here, right? Like, I need you to talk me off the ledge because it feels like the bottom is about to come off of this thing, and it's going to be a very, very big fall in the second half of this year.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak about the Magic thing first because I think that had people ready to do wholesale changes last night, and just really. So luckily, the season series is over with Orlando, right? They won 3 out of 4.
Thank God.
We will, right? Exactly. We won't see them unless they catch fire and become a playing team, right? This is what Detroit did last year and the year before that. Some teams just get your number in the regular season. Does it make me any less pissed? No. I still think you need to find a way to beat those teams, but our own Eddie House here, that's on NBC Sports Boston, talked about them being scrubs, and they said, "Oh yeah, that was actually adding motivation." But the thing is, looking at it from, and not angry because I was super angry, but now taking the anger out of it, right? Any team that has decent size gives this team problems, healthy or not. Like, would have been different, of course, if Allen, of course it would have been different, right? But because some of you guys are even missing when they played them in December. But it's just like when you got 4 or 5 guys at 6'7" or taller out there, and then you got my guy, little Cole Anthony, out there, blocking shots at 6'3". Yeah, they were up to the task, and the Celtics do what they usually do. Oh, we'll wait to get hot. We'll play around. Well, guess what? Orlando never took their foot off the gas pedal, and they said, "Well, we're not losing this game," and that's what happened throughout the 4 times. Like, they smacked them early in the season. I think Derek White had like 30 on them early in the year, but other than that, like, the defensive lapses were there. The lack of rebounding was there. The lack of fucking timeouts being called. Okay. The lack of timeouts not being called by Joe Mazzulla is fucking wild to me. Yes, I guess Rayshawn got 35 and 13. Yes, that's not the problem. When teams are making a fucking run, you don't just say, "Well, hey," at least sometimes, yes, let them figure it out. Yes, sometimes, yes. But not every single time. When he's actually called timeouts to reset them, you know what happens? A 10-0 run. 20-3 run. We've seen it. So it's there, Joe. Call some time. We did it, Joe. Call some fucking timeouts. That's all I want. Call some timeouts when you see the other team going crazy. Once again, we're probably about 40 minutes into the show and you haven't even heard me scream. But that part there annoys me like no other, because as someone that did play basketball when I was younger, I know the importance of when you just call a timeout, let's just reset, let's regroup, remind them of who they are on the bench, and say, okay, let me get something to get you set up here so that the Celtics score. The key is not for Jayson Tatum to score. The key is not for Jaylen Brown to score. The key is not for Marcus Smart to score. The key is for the Boston Celtics to score. And no matter if you're scoring from a 3-point range, whether you're scoring from the mid range, whether you're scoring from the under the paint, the goal is for the Boston Celtics to score. So I just had to make that little rant there. But like I said, just when teams have size, that's what's giving them the biggest issue.
How come Jonathan Isaac gave him a big issue when he hadn't played in the game in 2.5 years?
I that was crazy, wasn't it? 10, what is
Chris.
10 points in 10 minutes? Like, I'm like, that's wild. Like, that's some elite all-star shit in 10 minutes. 10 points in
Right?
10 minutes. I think he had 3 or 4 rebounds too. Like, one, it was a feel good thing. Like, before we get into my thing, like, it was dope to see him back on the court. Like, obviously he'd been gone for a couple of years. But you can't let that happen. You can't let him get 10 in a matter of minutes. And it was some wild shots that he ended up hitting. The adrenaline clearly was flowing. Like, it wasn't. He probably was having an out of body experience at that moment. He probably wanted to play more because he probably felt good, but they were managing minutes. But yeah, I mean, listen, he was a top 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken. I think he went right after Jaylen Brown, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been Tatum's draft, one or two. He was in one of those drafts. But he went top 10 overall, so he can play. But once again, when someone had been in the league for 2.5 years almost, and you let him give you a quick 10, as
Like
if
a real quick 10.
a real quick 10, you know what I'm saying? That's wild. I mean, they even without his 10, they still would have won by a few points, but it's just like you can't let that happen. But they clearly were inspired by him being out there and doing this thing. Once again, as an NBA fan, happy to see him back. As a Celtics fan, mostly, I was sick to my stomach seeing him.
So, like, one of the things that I remember about, like, one of our Celtics shows that you and I have done this year is that you would say that it feels different. It feels like they're not going to have those letdown games like they did against Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Like they did last year.
Right.
We actually talked about this before the big run up to the Bucks game on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both said that they're going to lose one of the Orlando games. I had them losing both.
Yeah.
What is it just that there's one team every year that just kicks us in the dick? Because we're averaging 118 points a game, and against them we average 107.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to even put into perspective or put into words, because, like I said, I think it just goes back to the size. Like, and Detroit, which is any team is also extra physical. Like, Orlando's physical, Detroit was physical. Like, the Celtics are very much a finesse team. Like, they're not rough and rugged. They're not the 04 Pistons. They're not,
They
they're
get
not
their ass kicked by
the
the 04
90s.
Pistons.
Who?
They would get their asses kicked by the 04 Pistons, literally.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not skill wise, but the defense.
Right. No, just
yeah. So,
toughness.
just on toughness, right? For sure. Yeah, anybody that's physical with them, because they get it, they want to kind of be free flowing with their offense. They want to blow kisses to the crowd. They want that type of game to be going on. So when a team kind of muddies it up and gives a little forearm check or give a little forearm shiver, they get off their game. And I think that's what Detroit was doing last year. I think that's what Orlando has done this year. I think that obviously when you have a guy coming in as the number one pick and Paolo Banchero, let's call it what it is. That kid is special, and he's the runaway rookie of the year. When you're already getting 20 a night as a rookie, he's super patient. Like I seen him had plays against Al last night where I'm just like, he looks like he's been in the league for 10 years. Like, the up fake, the footwork, like it's there. Like, it looks like he's like a 6'10, like a 6'10 Mellow. Like, it's crazy. Which is a little more power because he's about 250. So yeah, I just think that they were the one team this year, because once again, they have the best record against teams that's above 500. Like, that has to change. Like,
Right.
we forget that. Like, we mean you and me, like, in general, we forget that. Like, they had the best record against that. Like, they had the most wins against teams above 500. So they clearly rise to the occasion. And once again, you're not going to win all 82. Once again, I don't mind the losing. It's how you lose. And
Right.
that's all I'm at. Just you can lose a game. It's how you lose. That's why I was so mad Thursday night. I was there at the game. You were saying that you was laughing because you was like, when Golden State was up 8-9, and I'm just like, yo, we've seen this song and dance before. Maybe
it's over.
it have it. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, but I when I tell you, I was not alone in that arena. Like, people wasn't going to leave, but people were cussing up a storm. Like, people, man, they fucking soft still. Like, what's going on? Like, this is ridiculous. because the wind was knocked out of the building when Curry hit that three from half court.
Oh,
That and the thing is, I was right next to him warming up because I happened to be on the floor for that game. Thank you, Jack. Was out there on the floor, and the shot didn't surprise me because in warmups, which this is a thing of beauty to watch him shoot and with no one around, just him and Clay. Like it was a thing of beauty. Like I'd pay $10 or $15 just to watch that for an hour. Like it was phenomenal. He was hitting them from 40 feet like it was a layup. So when he hit that shot, and I'm like, not surprised. Like this guy gets.
I was gonna say, like, was there any doubt when he shot it that it was gonna go in? Because once he shot it,
you're at a collective like
yeah.
as soon as he shot it, because Stan Van Gundy had walked by us during halftime. He was like, "How about it, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, thanks, Stan." But I was like, "Yeah, how about it?" I was like, "Yeah, how about he go back into the fucking locker room?" But yeah, so that was crazy. But yeah, needless to say, like they're gonna have moments, they're gonna have teams, but once again, to be 35-13, potentially 36-13 after the night as we record this on the Tuesday, as Mike mentioned, to play 700 ball, that's why it feels different. I can't.
Yeah.
The last time we played 700 ball was we won the championship. Won the championship. 2008.
Didn't we have a run of 700 ball when IT was the MVP? We were the number one seed. Didn't we go on some?
Oh, in 2017. They were 53-29. So
yeah, I think we went on a run. Like,
yeah. I mean that team. Okay, so I'll say this: if we had the toughness of that team with this skill, they'd win 70 games.
Yeah,
this team is super skilled, but if they had the toughness of that team that lost to Cleveland in 5, like if they just had that toughness, man, it would be they win 70 games on a regular basis.
Yeah,
because they didn't take it. It was no nonsense. Ironically, Amir Johnson of all people was super great defensively for 2 years while he was here. That was the first year that Al Horford was here. That was the game that Kelly Olynyk turned to Larry Bird against the Washington Wizards in Game 7. So yeah, that team was just gritty. And even the next year, the first year that Kyrie was here, they won 16 in a row at one point. Yep. 16 in a row. Like I was like, oh my God, like
but you talk about their toughness, right? I think two of the players on the team, in my opinion, that personify toughness are Marcus Smart and Rob Williams.
Yes.
We avoided catastrophe with the injuries not being as bad as they could have been. But
we did.
Begs the question, are the Celtics deep enough, obviously depth-wise, to make that run for an actual chip this year? Now, we already got over the hump. We got there. Now these guys want to get back there. You can sense it. That's what's different in my opinion, right? It's not
right. Yeah.
When you pass the Eastern Conference Finals, it's like, fuck that. We've been there. That's why the whole Ime Udoka situation isn't really affecting them right now. Because they're young enough and they taste it, and now they want the whole damn thing.
Right.
Are they deep enough right now, or what do they need to do before the trade deadline to ensure that they have? You can't really replace a Rob Williams. You can't really replace a Marcus Smart, but you can supplement them correctly.
Right. Facts. So the competitor says, yeah, we got enough. We're gonna smack anyone we face. The competitor in me. The podcaster, the analyst, the fan. Yeah, we need another wing, another big. Like, so I don't know if it's gonna be Cam Reddish. I don't know. We didn't get this on the last show that me and Bobby did, but Naz Reid from Minnesota, I think would be a very good backup to Rob. Once again, he's not Rob, but he's definitely Rob light. He passes just as well as Rob. He's not gonna catch the alleys like Rob, but he can shoot. He can shoot better than Rob. So that's the trade-off there, right? I've been talking about Rashawn Holmes forever. I'm a fan. I think if he's on the table, I say go get him. But then like I said, new name that came about was Cam Reddish, right? Cam Reddish has not done a lot in the NBA, but I just feel like you just need 7 to 10 minutes less for Tatum and Brown. 7 to 10 less minutes. So they're around 31, 32. So they're still feeling fresh come playoff time. I know Tatum's gunning for the MVP. I know Brown is probably gunning for all NBA, so it can help the contract negotiations. I get that. I want that for them. Need that for them. But at the same time, I'm also worried about being 18. That's the site. That should be the priority. You win, you'll get paid. That's a guarantee.
Right.
That's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. Like you will get paid if you win. Promise. So yes,
I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it's a knock on your competitive spirit to say that they're not deep enough. The fact of the matter would be is that do they win? Do they beat Golden State without Rob Williams or Marcus Smart?
No.
There it is then.
It'll be a 4-game sweep.
Because you are going to play them. They're seventh in the West. They know it. They're going to mail it in until about 3 weeks before the postseason starts. They're going to flip that switch. All of a sudden, they're going to finish like fourth in the West, and then everything's going to go through them again.
Yep.
So,
I totally agree. And once again, because I feel like this is a 2014 Spurs type of run that we're on right now, I want the rematch. And I'm every basketball. Listen, y'all gonna get sick of me. Y'all, Craig gonna put the clips up. You go, man, didn't he say that last show? Yep. Every show I'm on that's talking basketball, I'm not running from the smoke. I want the rematch. I want it. I want the rematch. I even had a chance to talk to Tatum's mom, and I said, that's how MVPs respond. And she said, hell yeah. So that made my night. I was like, I don't care what happens after that. Like, this is great. I said 34, 19, and 6. Like, ball game. But
he turned it on in the fourth.
Yeah. Oh, once it work. And that's the difference too, right? Because last year, I feel like he still would have been like, okay, well, I had had 19. He had 13 in the first half. Last year, he would have ended with 19. He's
I was gonna say, like, that same stat line of what was it, 39, 14, and 4?
No, 34 points, 19 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah, that would have been 21 points in the first half last year, 13 points in the second. It was flipped.
Yep.
Like he got better as the game went on when we needed him to. And it was looking bleak. But that also brings me to the point now is, like, how concerned should we be that it's not even the end of January and we're already talking about Jayson Tatum's wrist, the same wrist that played him in the finals? Like, what do you do?
I mean, take my wrist.
I mean, I'm a donor. I give a kidney. I give a wrist, I guess.
Yeah, listen. Well, actually, you know what? I actually broke this one too. So never mind, Tatum. Take this one. Take the take the right, put whatever you need, put it in there. We'll just go from there. I just think that it was inevitable after what happened in the Milwaukee series. So thank you, Giannis, for being a fucking demolition ball. So that's just what happened. You couldn't take getting dunked on, so you had to be extra physical. But that's another topic for another day. I just think it was inevitable. It was bound to happen. Unfortunately, I just hope that they're able to manage it enough. And like he joked about with Abby Chin. He was like, "Hey, if I have an off night, my wrist. If I get 50, the wrist is just fine."
Right. I love that sentiment now. But the thing about it is we saw it a little bit in the first 3 quarters of the game against Golden State. Because again, I know that they're going to play them in the finals. If we get there, they will be there. They will be waiting for us. He needs to have full mobility against them, because for some reason, the defense that they play him against him, he's so quick right off the bat that they stifle him. And when he doesn't have the mobility of the wrist, he starts doing those Euro steps and they strip him. There's turnovers. So knowing that you've now seen, what is it, 7 games against this Golden State team over the last 12 months, you know what works, you know what doesn't. What can they reasonably do throughout the rest of the regular season to make sure that this does not plague him as much as it did last year?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, what can they do offensively to get him in position to be successful? So I can answer that too. But as far as the rest, games like playing like games like well, they don't play Charlotte anymore. But if you're playing a bottom feeder team, have him rest that night. Like there's other games like let's see. So we got let's look at this schedule.
The Knicks.
Yeah, they should look at this. Yeah, no, you gotta play both of these. But so let's see, next month. So you got Brooklyn, Phoenix, Detroit. Like you can rest against Detroit. You got Philly. You got the Hornets one more time. So you can do so. So okay, I would rest them against Detroit. I'd rest them against Charlotte.
I'd actually rest them against Milwaukee.
No.
Yeah.
No. I know. I never want them to think that they think it's sweet. Every time I'm playing you, I want you to know you're gonna feel me. No, I'm not. But the big games you got to play. Detroit's not going to matter in the long run. Any team we can face in the playoffs, he needs to play against, in my opinion. But I understand. I understand the premise. But that how I feel. Any team that we can see come April, May, or June. Well, it would be May because of the East, but April and May, I like we ain't getting no looks. Everything. You're getting this work every single time. And that once again, the competitor in me every time. Detroit again on the 15th. I'd rest him there because that's right before the All-Star break. I would just rest him there because he's going to be in Utah anyways, probably as an All-Star starter. And then they're on the road against the Pacers, Philly, and then the Knicks. So to me, you got 3 games there where you can rest him there. You got 3 games. So you got Detroit twice, and you got the Hornets. And then you got the All-Star break. But he's going to play that week. He's going to be involved. But he'll play maybe 15 to 20 minutes on that Sunday and then go from there. So, yeah, I just think those 3 games in February, those 3 games you can get a rest for him. And yeah, because there's no back-to-backs. So, and you got Memphis on Super Bowl Sunday. I definitely want him to face Memphis because they've been talking real crazy. And like a team that's won, they ain't done shit. So it's not.
You got what? 34 games left, including tonight. We got to figure out a way to rest him 14 of those games. 14.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be hard because he is not someone. He's a throwback player, and I love that about him. He is someone that wants to be out there, and I appreciate that about him.
And he wants to win the MVP, as he should. With great players, want to be great.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So that's just how I see it. But I think that he'll still be in the running for MVP. And once again, it also depends on what they have. If they're 10 games up, well, like 8 to go. And if you can't virtually catch them, then maybe you sit him into the playoffs. I know he's not going to do that. But probably won't. But I think that that's something you can consider. Come March and April.
Before we get out of here, real quick, what do you think about John Henry saying that the ticket prices of the Red Sox need to be high so that they can pay the players the high salary?
He really, time after time, he continues to prove how out of touch he is with this fan base.
Which is wild because he's won 4 World Series in 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, once again, that should be the story. Just like Bill helping us to win 6 in 20, like that should be the narrative. But when you get out of touch with a very smart fan base, as this fan base is, are we delusional? Yeah, but we're super smart as well, and we're not falling for the bullshit anymore. We're just not. And once again, no one is saying you have to make the World Series year in year out. That's not realistic. But can you be a 90-win team for 5 or 6 years straight? Absolutely. We've seen it in Cleveland. We've seen it in New York. We saw it with the Braves for 14 and 15 years. And I know obviously they had a juggernaut for a roster at times. I can hear people now. Oh, would you rather be the 90s Braves or what the 2000s Red Sox have been? And it's like, well, I mean, they won 14 straight division titles. Like, it wasn't like you knew you had to go through Atlanta in order to make a name for yourself. So I don't know, that's hard to answer, but yeah, 4 world championships is phenomenal.
If he would just shut the fuck up,
nobody right. Yeah, exactly. Perfectly said, right? I just think to me, just say, look, as an organization, and it starts with me, we did not, in hindsight's always 2020, but we have not always done what really could have been or should have been in the best interest of the Red Sox. Just like y'all, we miss Mookie. Just like y'all, we miss I'm trying to think who else. We'll miss Xander, whatever. But that is beyond us now. That's past us, unfortunately. We do have what we feel would be a decent product. Do we have some additions to make? Absolutely. But there are guys here that will contribute and will eventually be a part of a winning franchise. We get it. It's Boston. You may not always going to be patient, but at the same time, patience is the only thing that's going to get us through this. John W. Henry. Cool.
Right.
I'll accept that. But to talk about fucking Fenway Franks being $13.90 and a diet Pepsi being, $7.50, like, once again, you're out of fucking touch, John. You're out of touch, Sam Kennedy and whoever else is a part of that Red Sox management.
His
gone, just dumb, stupid.
His answers were so bad at this little round table that they had over the weekend that Nesson didn't air them. They literally cut him out of it. The owner of the network was like, they were like, well, we can't air that because that looks real fucking bad.
Yep.
Listen, all he would have to your point, he has two options. The two options where he can come out looking less like an asshole. Number one, don't say anything. Number two, if you can't do number one, only if you can't do number one, say yes. We realize that we brought you 5 tips in the last 20 years. The bigger issue though is that we've only been competitive for 9 out of those 20 years. We have to be competitive every year, and that's what we're going to try and do. Boom.
That's it. That's it. And, I mean, and once again, yes, because someone wrote this quote, and I think, once again, that this is a pipe dream, and it could happen. Maybe this becomes what 20. Remember, 2022 looks very much like how 2012 did. Very much so. And then they got a bunch of these guys that you didn't really remember that were part of some other decent teams. Then they come over, and all of a sudden they catch fire.
Yeah.
They better fucking hope that this resembles what 2013 was. And they better hope. Once again, we don't need another Boston Strong moment, so I'm not advocating for that. But we need someone. We need a Johnny Gomes, Will Miller. We need that resurgence here. Need a Shane, but that was Shane Victorino and like we need all that. We need all that here. So that's just my take there. So
I mean, I think Ray, that'll do it for us in this episode. It was pretty good. Oh, we didn't want to kill each other. I think I did get you to laugh once with one off color remark, but I think just another. This is just another win for the good guys. So for Rayshawn Buchanan, Mike Marcangelo saying thank you so much for listening to the 617 podcast powered by the Crowworthy Network, the voice of the Boston fans by the Boston fans, and we will talk to you next week.